Listen to me carefully. The narcissist didn't leave you because you weren't enough. They left you because you were becoming too much, too aware, too strong, too close to seeing through their mask, and that terrified them. If this feels like I'm reading your mind, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what hurts the most about their silence. I read every single comment, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Here's what no one tells you about narcissistic abandonment. It's not rejection, it's punishment. You started asking questions they couldn't answer. You stopped accepting crumbs when you deserved a feast. You began to see the person behind the performance, and they couldn't let that happen. The narcissist didn't leave you. They punished you with silence, with withdrawal, with the cruelest weapon in their arsenal, making you feel invisible, making you question everything you thought you knew about love, about yourself, about your worth. But their silence isn't about you. It's about their terror of being truly seen. You wanted real connection, the kind where you love someone completely, flaws and all. Carl Rogers called this unconditional positive regard, and it's the foundation of every authentic relationship. But narcissists can't handle this level of truth because they're drowning in shame about who they really are. When you loved them without their mask, when you saw their insecurities and still chose to stay, they panicked. Because if you could see their brokenness and still love them, that meant they'd have to face it too. And facing themselves is the one thing narcissists cannot do. So they didn't leave, they fled. They chose silence over vulnerability. They chose abandonment over authenticity. They chose their prison over your love. They punished you for getting too close to the truth of who they really are. This is why their departure feels different. This is why it cuts deeper. This is why you can't shake the feeling that you did something wrong, because you didn't just get rejected. You got punished for loving too well, for seeing too clearly, for offering something they desperately wanted but were too afraid to accept. The narcissist punished you with silence because your love was too real for their fake world. Your authenticity exposed their performance. Your depth revealed their shallowness. Your willingness to be vulnerable highlighted their cowardice. They didn't leave because you weren't good enough. They left because you were too good, too real, too threatening to the illusion they've spent their entire life constructing. But here's the truth that will set you free. Their departure was your rescue, not your rejection. You've been mourning someone who was never really there. You've been grieving a relationship built on lies, performed for your applause, designed to feed their emptiness. The person you thought you loved was a character, a carefully crafted performance created to get what they needed from you. And when you started loving the real person underneath, the scared, broken, shame-filled human, they couldn't handle it. They punished you with silence because silence is safe. Silence doesn't require vulnerability. Silence doesn't demand authenticity. Silence doesn't risk exposure. The narcissist chose silence because it's the only place they feel in control. Your love threatened their control. Your questions threatened their narrative. Your presence threatened their carefully constructed false self. So they didn't just leave. They punished you for threatening the only version of themselves they could tolerate. The silence you're experiencing right now, it's not punishment. It's protection. Protection from a lifetime of loving someone incapable of loving you back. Protection from sacrificing yourself on the altar of someone else's cowardice. Protection from years of wondering why your best isn't good enough for someone who can't even face their worst. You keep replaying conversations, wondering what you did wrong. Stop. There was nothing you could have done because the problem was never your love. It was their inability to receive it without falling apart. They punished you for offering what they needed most, because accepting it would have meant admitting they needed it. The narcissist didn't leave because you failed them. They left because you succeeded. You succeeded in seeing through their mask. You succeeded in loving their authentic self. You succeeded in offering them exactly what they've been desperately seeking their entire life. And that success terrified them. They left because staying would have required them to be real, to drop the act, to let you love their humanity instead of their highlight reel. And that level of vulnerability felt like death to them. So they chose to punish you for offering life. They punished you with silence because they couldn't punish themselves with truth. They punished you for caring because they couldn't bear to care about themselves. They punished you for staying because they've never learned how to stay for anyone, including themselves. This is why it hurts so much. This is why you can't understand it. This is why you keep asking yourself what you could have done differently, because you're trying to make sense of punishment when you thought you were experiencing love. But love doesn't punish you for being real. Love doesn't abandon you for having needs. Love doesn't silence you for speaking truth. What you experienced wasn't love. It was a masterclass in emotional manipulation disguised as romance. And you know what? Let them choose their walls over your warmth. Let them choose their performance over your presence. Let them choose their emptiness over your fullness. Let them punish themselves with the silence they gave you. Because you get to choose differently. You get to choose people who don't run when you see their scars. You get to choose love that doesn't require you to shrink. You get to choose relationships where your depth is celebrated, not feared. Where your questions are welcomed, not punished. Where your love is received, not rejected. The narcissist taught you something invaluable. Never again will you love someone who makes you feel like your love is too much. Never again will you chase someone who punishes you for caring. Never again will you mistake their fear of intimacy for your failure to be lovable. Their silence isn't saying you weren't enough. It's screaming that they weren't brave enough to be seen. Brave enough to be loved. Brave enough to love you back. Brave enough to choose connection over control. The narcissist didn't leave you. They revealed themselves. They showed you exactly who they are. Someone who punishes love instead of receiving it. Someone who chooses fear over growth. Someone who would rather be alone in their delusion than together in truth. You survived loving someone who couldn't love themselves. You survived giving your heart to someone who was afraid of hearts. You survived their abandonment, their cruelty, their cowardice. You survived being punished for your greatest strength, your ability to love unconditionally. And now you get to use that strength to love someone worthy of it, starting with yourself. The narcissist punished you for being too much. Now you get to celebrate being exactly enough for the right person. The space they left isn't empty. It's sacred ground for the love you deserve. Use their absence to remember who you are without their chaos. Use their silence to hear your own voice again. Use their departure to come home to yourself. Stop waiting for them to return with apologies they'll never give. Stop hoping they'll suddenly develop the courage they've never had. Stop believing that your love wasn't good enough, when the truth is, they weren't strong enough to receive it. The narcissist didn't leave you because you weren't chosen. They left because you were too dangerous to their false self. They didn't abandon you because you weren't worthy. They abandoned you because your worth exposed their emptiness. Their silence is not your sentence, it's your freedom. They didn't leave you behind, they set you free. And one day when you're loving someone who stays when you're real, who leans in when you're vulnerable, who sees your humanity as a gift instead of a threat, you'll understand that their punishment was actually your salvation. You are not too much. You never were. You were simply too real for someone living in a fantasy, and that's their loss, not yours. The narcissist didn't leave you. They freed you from having to love someone who punishes you for loving them.